But as soon as we can notify the next of kin, we'll release his name to you. Anybody have any questions?
How's Officer Savarese doing right now? I mean, things can change, as we know, in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, obviously she's shaken up. I just saw her here at the scene. She's now gone back to St. Pete Police Headquarters. And I can tell you that she does have marks on her neck from where he was choking her. The collar brass on her uniform was ripped off. So it looked like that there was a pretty significant struggle that occurred. As I said, there are a lot of witnesses to this, so we need to interview everybody. But thankfully, she's okay. Of course, she's shaken up anytime that you go through that type of a situation where somebody's choking you out, you can't breathe. And then, unfortunately, you have to defend yourself, and you have to use force. And I want to stress, we talk about this being a shooting and talking about the force being used, but this isn't a response to somebody attacking her. This was because her life was in danger, because she couldn't breathe, and because he decided that he was going to try and choke her out. And so she did what she had to do under the circumstances, and we're very thankful that she's okay.
Veteran officer?
Pardon me?
Veteran officer?
She's been a police officer here in St. Petersburg for about 4 years.
Can you go a little bit into the position that the officer was in? And was he like behind her, choking her, or like in front so she could see him?
No, he was in front of her, so they were on the ground, and when they stood up, and they were facing each other. So she was on that second floor balcony. In fact, she was facing to the east, so her back was to the west. So he would have been the opposite way. So he was facing west, and so they were face to face like this. And he reaches out like this, and he grabs her by the neck and just starts choking her. Now, previous to that, according to Officer Savarese, he had also reached for her gun belt. She couldn't tell whether he was reaching for the gun or the taser or doing something, but he was reaching down there. She could feel a tug down there. But he reached out and very violently, and it was face to face. And so she's sitting there staring this guy down, who's got his hand, who's a tall guy, much taller than she is, weighs a lot more than she does, bigger than she is, who's just got this grip on her neck and is choking her out. And she was in fear for her life. She couldn't breathe. And she fired when his hand was around her neck.
And you mentioned that there's a lot of witnesses and that this happened in the second floor balcony. So is this like in a courtyard area where there were people who were able to see this unfold?
So again, we got to flush all this out. I don't know exactly where all of the witnesses are, but generally, yes, is that the apartment complex behind us would be a square with a courtyard in the middle of the square, and this is a second floor balcony, so it would be an apartment door that opens out into the courtyard area. So there'd be plenty of opportunity for people that were either on that second floor or people that were across the courtyard on their balconies as well to see it. But there are, we've identified probably somewhere around 15 witnesses that need to be interviewed.
Sheriff, can you talk about really the bravery it takes, for officers to get into the situation? I mean, Chief Dugan was talking about a shooting spree last week, and it's like the guy, was shot, glass on him, and he got right back in the fight. And
Right.
This is a time when she knew that things were happening, and it probably was going to be dangerous, and yet she,
Well, she did her job. She walked up there and she knew that she was going to have an encounter with this guy, and she tried for her safety to detain him and to take him into custody, and that would have been the safest thing to do. So she was trying to prevent something from happening. And he's the one that escalated it, and he's the one that took it to really the highest level of resistance and using force and aggressive force against her. So, she was trying to minimize it, trying to do the safe thing, and he's the one that really tried to kill her by choking her out. As again, we're thankful that she's okay. Dangerous situation, and she was just doing her job. But these things happen, and unfortunately, people get aggressive against law enforcement, and it didn't have to happen this way. But when you're being choked out, you do what you have to do.
it was all because of some items that were on his neighbor's porch, or was it a burglary, or just the stuff that he threw on?
Yeah, we got to flush all that out. But I can tell you, for him and what they were investigating, it wasn't worth his life. And he didn't have to go where he did and do what he did. Is that they were, and we'll find out exactly what these items were, but they're not some high value items. In any regard, is that no matter what it was, is that there's absolutely, of course, no reason when a law enforcement officer or police officer tells you is that you'll be taken into custody, put your hands behind your back, is that the reaction isn't to reach out and to push her and engage in a fight with her and go to the ground and fight and then continue to resist actively and violently and stand up and then take your hand and put it around her neck and try and choke her out. I mean, that's so, what was underlying becomes irrelevant once he escalates it to that point.
Were there numerous 911 calls, or was it the neighbor that he stole from that called, or I'm sure a lot was happening?
Yeah, we got to flush all that out. She was on the radio calling for help afterwards, so but people were hearing it. So I don't know, Melanie. If others were while she was fighting with him, whether others were calling 911, it's too early to tell. I don't know the answer to that. All right.
Last question. Do you think this will help this method? Thank you. Memorandum of Understanding. Do you think this will help agencies with transparency?
Well, I think that's why we did this, is that so the agency that employs the officer that's involved in the shooting is not involved in this investigation at all. So this is what it's designed for, and to provide this level of transparency and objectiveness and thoroughness. And so far, so good. This is the first one we've had. We've got a bunch of people who are learning how to work together, and there's some things to work out with that because it's the first time we've done it, but we're working it out. And overall, I'm very pleased with how it's going. Yeah.
Thanks, Sheriff.
All right, thanks everybody. Thank you. Yep.